honesty. This time I have a real treat. This one is Life Marks, originally painted in 1995 in Toronto, Canada. The painting depicts large periods, major periods of art history, cave painting from Altamira, Madonna represents Byzantine art, and then I included my work with the representation, the two opposites, red and blue, black and white on one corner. I used to call my style red and blue meeting in a triangle for a long time. That means the two opposite always needs a third observer, kind of the same philosophy what quantum physics talking about. This painting is not really on canvas. In 1995, we were still very poor in Canada, not doing well, so I used an old bed sheet, black bed sheet of ours, and primed it, and that's the base of this painting. The Madonna holds just the space of a child, and that child kind of comes off of her and flies over as a tree shape. Not quite three primary colors, because red, yellow, and here the blue is missing, it's white. The Madonna itself is the blue. And then what I did, I included a chalk line of a body on the surface. It's difficult to see. Here kind of you can see the white chalk. It goes over the surface. Usually what they use on crime scenes when they mark the dead body on the surface. So that was kind of a representation of me leaving a mark on the surface. This is before Dotart in 1995. And then I painted this shadow, kind of me leaving the surface or an observer in the future casting a shadow. That's what it's supposed to represent. Now what I will say, I'm not a believer in karma at this time. I used to be. However, I find some very interesting aspect of this piece later, which I will include some photographs on this video. When this was exhibited multiple times, but as a dot art, as you see now, it has a dot of information over the surface. That happened in 2014 in Miami, during Art Miami at Select Fair. This was exhibited with the marker. And I find it interesting, as I took pictures of the observers leaving their mark, some people completed this painting, either with the child on her arm doing some marking as a Madonna, or somebody is kneeling in front of the piece and writing to the lower part such a way, and this shadow, painted shadow, came to be her shadow 19 years later. I find that connection is interesting. What makes this painting more special to me is at that particular show in 2014, that's the time when I Can't Breathe, kind of Black Lives Matter and all that started in North America. And as a last act of this dot art, I feel only appropriate to ask an artist who is a performance artist, to do the last act on this surface. I told him he can do whatever he wants. The piece is practically closed. He's the last act. He's also a dancer, a very creative man. And he did something amazing, which I filmed with his permission, and I will include it on this video as well. So that was the final act on this painting. As Whitney worked on the piece, you will see why and how this part of the painting happened. Obviously, this is outside of the dot, outside of the radius. Where the chain allowed to reach the marker. But this will become obvious when you watch the video. 19 years after it was first painted as life marks, and it received its final mark as intentional final mark in 2014 during Art Miami in the USA. Thank you for all who were watching. I hope you enjoyed this segment. And remember, we are all the same, just different ways. Thank you. So here we are, end of the show, the closing act at 2014 in Art Miami Select Fair, where Whitney V. Hunter was nice enough to do the last act, his performance on my Dotart. As we can see, he's tried to do an outline of his own body with the marker. It's not easy. And I find that strange, since Whitney had no idea I was doing the same thing with the white marker 19 years prior on the same surface. As mentioned earlier in the video, this is the time of the hands up movement, I Can't Breathe, the start of Black Lives Matter in North America, where innocent black men were brutally treated and sometimes murdered by police. So I felt it's very appropriate to ask a black artist to do the last act on this piece at this time. I really like how he's blending into the piece, as you saw on some of the images I included end of this video. None of those were staged photographs, so as this is not staged, Whitney's doing whatever he feels like doing. Here we see the marker came off. This time the markers were just very loosely attached with the plastic cup, like a drain plug. The marker just did fit nicely into that, and that time 2014 14, people were more careful and respectful. These days, I couldn't get away with such an installation. Now, the markers are need to be screwed to the chain attached very well. Even secondary measures need to be taken so people don't unscrew it. People just get, I find, a little more violent over the years. So here he stops, and I ask him if it's done, and since it didn't, since the marker came off, I find it strange. He just put it back, kind of following the rule, which is very nice of him. But I challenged him if he feels like going out, he's free to do so. If he wants to, it's up to him. So he chose to do that. And again, here now we see the solution why and how those marks appeared outside of the radius of the dot, which I pointed out earlier in the video. So that's the silhouette of his head, and on the other side we will see he's doing his leg. I was very happy with the result and very thankful for Whitney to doing this for me and for our sake. Again, thank you for watching, and remember, we are all the same, just different ways.